Hi, I'm Kaylee.
And I'm Summer,
And we are Women to Women.
We have created this community to help women remove judgment and shame away from themselves by educating women on women.
We hope to create a safe space where you feel heard, understood, and empowered to connect to the woman you are on the inside.
Today, we're going to be talking about how to break the silence and talk about what has happened to you, and we're going to share a bit of our journey with this.
This is just a trigger warning because what we're going to talk about is personal and also includes some traumatic experiences of our own. So if any time that it feels a bit too much for you, just pause and come back to it whenever you want if you're ready.
We're going to start today's episode with a poem from Kaylee.
So this was written in 2024 after one of the biggest, if not the biggest, experiences of my life. It's a terrible feeling thinking you won't be believed. But when I was, I thought of just how much I've achieved. Being trapped within myself for far too much time, wondering if what you did was even a crime. I was embarrassed and didn't want to admit what I'd gone through. Now I'm an advocate, so that just shows how much I grew. But it makes me think of how many people don't speak out, being chained to their mind with this thing called doubt. See, doubt used to cover every inch of my mind. It created excuses and reasons to keep me blind. But when I regained my vision, it made me see I needed to speak out if I wanted to be free. Free from the terror, the guilt, and the pain, I then allowed the truth to finally take the reign. My voice used to be hidden away from the world, but now I stand tall and am no longer curled. So I won't stop now after finally finding it. I will keep on speaking as I refuse to quit. I hope to inspire people who were once in my place, and the community I will build can become your safe space. Oh, I love that. That is exactly how I feel now, and it's so cool to reflect on past Kaylee to present Kaylee because I feel like she'd be so proud.
She would be so proud, and I think it's so beautiful to see yourself. We talk a lot about writing down your desires and what you see for yourself, and you can see so much of that in the way that you write. Like, you reflect so much on what has happened to you, and obviously that belief of being believed helped so much, but it really helped shape who you have become today with that belief, and it shows from the way you wrote 2 years ago.
Yeah, and it is so scary working your way up to try and talk to people about your experiences or what you've been through, and that's what today's episode is all about. It's going to be us sharing our journey of how we were able to speak out about our traumatic experiences or what we were dealing with, and just give some ways that we were able to help ourselves get over that doubt or just scariness of it. Like, it will still be scary because no matter how much preparation, and even now it's 3 years, over 3 years, and I still get nervous to bring it up or talk about it. But we hope that by us sharing what helped us, it can hopefully help you.
Yeah, I want to preface by saying that us speaking up about what has happened to us was never something that did come easy to us. It's something that still doesn't come easy to us, but by staying silent, you really allow it to have power and control over your life, and allowing yourself to really break that silence and speak about things that have happened to you and your experience with it and how you have grown from it really can help shape how you move forward and the life path that you want to continue to go on from that, and allow it to just be a part of your chapter of your life and not your life. That doesn't define your life.
Yeah, one of my biggest mottos that I began with my website was, your past does not have to define you. Like, can take control of your trauma. It doesn't have to control you. And I think that's so important because in the beginning of when I was trying to understand or process or just really suppress what I had gone through, that suppression, just because I wasn't necessarily thinking about it all the time, it does stay inside your body and it does get inside your subconscious, and it really shapes your emotional reactions, your responses, your habits, and it just stays within you. So I do think speaking about it is such an important step, but just because you do speak about it doesn't mean all the trauma or unresolved emotional responses and trauma that you have been through will dissipate and go away, which is, yeah, something that we're still continually learning, and yeah, we're on this journey with you.
And I think something that's so special about our friendship and I guess our trauma is they are kind of the opposite, in the sense of my trauma was a slow build up to the big event, and yours was the opposite. It was the big event and then the build up, or I guess the build down from there. And the way that it's handled is so differently, but we were both quite a part of each other's lives during this. My pre-stages were less you're involved, but obviously I got to have the added benefit of having my best friend throughout the end part of it and really coming out of it, and obviously having such a great best friend really helped with that and breaking that silence, because she had to be one of the first persons that I spoke to about it, because I didn't show up for our first ever sleepover, so it wasn't really something that I could overly keep to myself. But something that I struggled a lot with throughout my whole teenage years was depression and suicide ideations, and it's something that really, really controlled my life and something that I really tried to keep to myself as much as possible. And I kind of refused to let anyone in. I was a serial liar about it. Like, I could lie under my skin about what was happening. I could lie about how happy that I really was when I really wasn't. And it only really made it so much worse in the long run, because it did end up to my last attempt and really putting myself in a place where I may not be here because of that silence, and really keeping it to yourself. And it just shows how detrimental keeping it to yourself can really be. And on the flip side, you can talk on how keeping things to yourself can hold that impact and control over your life.
Yeah, when I went through my traumatic experience, I just didn't really know how to express it to anyone else. And I thought that me speaking out I probably wouldn't be believed. I don't know what made this thought. That's the thing about your mind and just the things that you read and stuff. But also I didn't want to split up my family. Like, I thought that would be one of the biggest things, because like everything building up to it was, like, this is the last time that we're breaking up. Like, we're a proper family now. Like, we're never going to do anything again. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, how do I express this? So I just kept it within, and I genuinely believed that I would be able to stay silent forever and it can just be hidden. It wouldn't happen again. And all this stuff that I tried to like negotiate with myself, and that really caused a lot of, not now that I've spoken out about it and really acknowledged what I went through, it has shown so much of the hidden things that it did impact me with, because instead of expressing to others, and I wouldn't even express it to myself, like I really tried to just pretend it didn't happen, but then that turned into me drinking myself to freaking blackout every weekend just so I didn't have to think about it, or stay at friends' houses, or stay out clubbing until 3 a.m. so I didn't have to come home, and just working my way around when I would come home and when their swing was away. Like, it was just all these things in my skin. Like, I would have loads of stress spots. I was so small because I just wasn't expressing, and what my mind was suppressing, my body was expressing, and just so much of the things I was keep hidden was actually showing, but I couldn't acknowledge it, and others just thought it was teenage years changing. And yeah, it's just, when you keep things within you, it does have a lot more impact than you think. And only since reflecting on those years that I've actually noticed the extent of how much it did impact me, even though I thought I was dealing with it fine.
Something that I really struggled with, and I know that you really struggled with, was when you do start to break that silence and you allow yourself to come out of it, and you have a really bad experience from that, and your trust does get broken from the person that you decided to start being vulnerable with, whether they don't take you seriously, they don't respect your word, they tell anyone, everyone, that can hold such a hold on you and like really set you back so many steps. And it kind of can build this belief of like that is what it's going to be like if you open up to anyone else, which can really negatively affect the impacts that opening up can have and really keep you in your hole and keeping things to yourself. But it's so important to remember that one bad experience doesn't define the whole entire world and every other experience that you have. And it's really important that you do reach out to those support systems and really find which support systems are for you. And opening up and breaking that silence is a really great way to see who your support systems actually are and who's actually going to be there, who's going to believe you, who's going to support you, who's going to keep your word, who's going to maintain that trust within yourself and within that person as well.
And I used to think like professional help was something that is like, oh no, but it is actually very helpful. And the same goes if you have a bad experience with one person, like every person isn't that one person, and it's really trying to break those beliefs that we have within ourselves and try again. Because even if you do go to a mental health specialist, a psychologist, or what you need, that person, it is completely okay if you go to a appointment and you're like, that's not right for me, like they're not the right person for me. It's the same as any relationship. You're not gonna marry the first person that you date, like necessarily, but you always got to find a person that you really connect with, and if that person isn't for you, that is completely okay, but don't let that put you off. Because I really struggled. It took me like I think 11 sessions before I was able to open up, but I always had that thing where I was like, don't really trust him right now, but I feel like he's a good person. So that's why I was able to slowly build up that trust and vulnerability. But it is such a big thing because one of the main reasons why I didn't want to speak out is because I convinced myself all of these perspectives or reactions or responses or just things that people will place on me if I was to tell them. Like, my biggest thing was I wanted people to like me for me. I didn't want people to like me because they felt sorry for me. And I didn't know if I was going to be believed. I didn't know if people would like just not really take it seriously. And it's such a strange thing talking about it because it feels so real, and you just convince yourself that this is the way that people will respond. But you can only really see how people respond until you tell them and let down your walls and express what you've been through or what you are experiencing. And I think it's just so important for us to try and rationalize with that inner voice of the negatives, but try and see that it can actually be positive as well.
I really wish younger Summer really listened to the having a negative experience with a professional isn't the way that it's going to be, because obviously I had a really bad experience with my first ever specialist that I saw when I was 13, and that put me off completely. And I just had this belief that therapy was never going to work. No specialist would ever understand what I'm going through, and they just look at me like I don't know what I'm talking about and I'm just a kid. And anytime that I see another therapist, that's the mindset that I went in with. So I just would pick at every little thing that affirmed that they didn't understand what I was going through. And so I spent my whole childhood literally despising therapy because I had one bad experience that created this belief that I was going to consistently have these bad experiences, which in my head I was, because I believed that it was true. But something that I probably didn't understand how much of an impact it did have was therapy in the end. My therapist that I had after my last attempt was the most beautiful soul in the whole entire world, and she was genuinely, it felt like she was a big sister to me. Like, she was so warm, she was so compassionate, and she was so caring, and she really made me believe that what I was going through was so real, and really tried to understand what I was going through. She never pushed, but she slightly tried to dip her toe in waters. And if I was like, I can't, she'd completely let it go, and really allowed me to build that trust with her every single week, and really allowed that safe space for me to feel comfortable. And that was probably my first like turning point of genuinely being so open and honest with someone and not trying to fabricate the truth, which is something that I still struggle with, especially with therapy, is I love to fabricate the truth, and I don't know what it is in my brain that loves to do it. But she was the first person that I actually really allowed their walls to break through and really actually dig into things that I didn't realise were holding such an impact on my life. And it really brought the belief and confidence within myself, and it affirmed the positive side of speaking out about what I went through and everything. And I'm just so grateful to have had that experience as well, and allow myself to believe that experience is what it should be like rather than the other experience that I had.
Yeah. And I think that when we like speak out, sometimes when the first few times that we do speak to others or a mental health professional or specialist, we are such adaptable creatures in the way that we can create excuses for actions, or just we adapt to it like this is our norm. And I read this thing a while ago where it was like a child that has been abused and neglected their whole life, if they have like this healthiest family, got like open arms, come to me, and they have their mum, they will always choose to run back to that, because even though they hurt them, even though they neglect them, it's normal and it's comfortable to them and it's familiar. And that is so true with what we go through, because the longer that we do stay silent, I felt for my journey was I was trying to just create narratives in my mind where it's like, yeah, but this is only one event, like this is all my life, and you kind of just push it under the rug or try and convince yourself that it's not as bad as what it was, or you try and think, is it even bad? Like I'm not over it, but like in my head I'm like, oh, it's not like taking over my life, is it even like something to bring up again? And when you do speak out, it's so cool to see from a different perspective, because some of the things from my childhood that I just thought were normal, they're like, oh, like this is actually not very normal. I'm like, oh, really? And then they explain it and I'm like, oh, yeah, true. And it's just being able to see from a different perspective, because you have your only perspective really. And that's why I think it's really good to journal, because it's kind of like, obviously you're journaling from your perspective, but when you reread it, it's kind of like a different perspective where you can see and be like, oh, okay, these things are this, that's that doesn't really add up. This is not very like good or healthy. And it's just, yeah, I found speaking out to a mental health professional was really good with seeing that what I was feeling is valid, and the things that I did brush off, and I obviously held something within me, and when I expressed it, I understood why it was so like, it's unresolved trauma or unresolved emotional responses that you go through, but you are allowed to feel what you feel, and it is so valid to feel how you do feel.
Yeah, there's something so powerful in just breaking that silence, and I don't think like it's really not taken credit enough. And another example that I have is even with my now diagnosis of PMDD, it's something that I knew something was going wrong. Like I knew something just was, like I couldn't figure out what was going on. Like I was still crying so often, and those suicide ideations were so constant, but I was in a place where I wasn't allowing them to consume my life, and I could not allow it to take over and actually go through with it. So I didn't see it as like an issue, and I just thought that it's just who I am. Because of my past, it's just who I am, and like it's just how I have got to learn to live my life. And I was consistently told by my friends and family around me that like, you need to tell someone about this. Like you need to tell someone who might actually know something about this. And I just couldn't believe it. I was like, no, like it's in my head. Like this isn't something, it's just the depression talking, like it's nothing. But then going and actually seeing someone for a completely different reason, seeing a GP for a completely different reason, and just saying, hey, like I have this experience, like I get really depressed leading up to my period, like I get such bad anxiety attacks, I can't stop crying, like I feel like everyone doesn't like me, I don't like myself. And then I was able to get the diagnosis from that and actually have a really long conversation about what I was going through and find an actual meaning towards what is going on in my body. And I would have never been able to do that if I didn't just speak up about it, because I wanted to, but for so long, and I was just like, no, I can't do that. I don't want to do that. Like, because I was trying to suppress that part of me from my childhood, and I didn't want it to believe that that could still be true. And I thought that like I was going to get another depression diagnosis, and I thought that I worked enough through it that it wasn't going to be that, and it wasn't that. So it was so lucky that I did actually speak up about it, and I've learnt so much more about myself since opening up and sharing it and actually getting such useful feedback back from it.
Well, I remember when you came to my house and you sat me on my bed and you're like, oh, so I went to the GP, and you put on like this voice, you're like, I've got PMDD, and I was like, oh, what is that? And then again you were breaking that silence and explaining it, and it just made so much sense to both of us because we lived together for 2.5 years. So I was in your life seeing those cycles and seeing the impacts that it did play on you. And I remember when we did live together and you like came up to me one time and you said, oh, I'm just letting you know that around this time is usually when I do go into like my depressive like season. This is when my depression really hits me. And I remember saying like, because I was keeping my trauma within me at that time, so I understood how hard it is to speak out. So I said to you, just knock on my door and just come in and do like a hand movement or something, just so I know that this is my time to help you, because I know sometimes it's too hard to be like, oh, like I'm feeling like I want to die right now. Like that's too hard to express it in the moment. So just coming up with ways that we could both talk about it. And that's the same as me. Like I didn't feel, I don't know why, like safe or like ready to express it to you what I'd gone through. But I did like drop like hints and just things. But I think it was just me like dipping my toe in to see like your reaction, or just testing really. And that is okay to do, testing the waters, but it does so much like when you are able to express fully what you have experienced and what you're going through, because the validation but also the support and just releasing it, even if the person doesn't say anything that like they're just a listening ear, that is so helpful as well, because you're allowing yourself to release everything that you've built up within. Obviously you'll still have some stuff within, because words are only so much. Unfortunately, you have to do a lot of work after you go through trauma, because the thing with trauma is it isn't what you go through, it's what happens within you. So I think that was a big thing of me, because one part of myself after I went through my event or traumatic experience was I used to research a lot of other girls or people's experiences and stories, and then I'd be like, oh, but this only happened one time, oh, but it wasn't this, and then I was like, oh, is mine, oh, it's no, people have been through it way worse, but this is your experience, this is your story, this is what happened to you. Don't compare your experience to anyone else's, because how that experience made you feel, what changes it did within you is so valid, and you have your right to be able to express it to others and share your experience and story with others, because that was just one thing that really played on me, where I just didn't understand if what he did was even bad or what other people went through was so much worse, so why should I tell what I went through? And yeah, it's just a thing that always played in my mind, but really trying to understand that this is my journey, this is my life. It doesn't take away from other people's, but other people's journey doesn't take away from mine either.
That was something that I really had to learn as well, is that other people's experiences and their reasonings behind things or that traumatic event shouldn't compare to yours, and you shouldn't compare yourself to theirs, because that's something that I really struggled with, because I didn't have, like, I had a really fun childhood, and like I had such a great I have such a great family, and they're so supportive. So I never really understood, like, I didn't ever feel like I had a reason to feel this way. And when I would look up other people and like the stories that they would tell, like, it was so heartbreaking, and then like I felt pathetic. I was like, and it made me feel kind of more silent, because I was like, I didn't go through anything as bad, like I need to harden up and move on, like. And it made it so much worse, because I compared my journey to someone else's instead of being empathetic with them and empathetic with myself, of like, we've both gone through things that have led to this outcome. And that was so, like, it's so helpful for me now to know that, because them thoughts don't just go away. There are times where I'm like your life's good, someone, like, come on. And I can channel that to be not a negative way for me to have those thoughts. And it's more of like a reminder of, yes, your brain's feeling tough right now. Yes, your thoughts are going wild, but you know that there's so much light. Like, you know that there's so much grace here, and you know that you have the capabilities to work through this. Like, it's not the be end all. Like, you can do this now. And that's just really, really helped and impacted me.
Yeah. I think something, because I remember so clearly the feeling and just what I felt within when I was first telling, like, my mum what happened, and I was so nervous, and my heart was just racing, and I said it 100 million times in my head before I could speak it out loud. I couldn't even make eye contact. Like, I was just stroking my dog, like, oh my God, like, how am I going to say this? And that is completely normal. It is completely okay for it to feel scary. It should feel scary, like you're being vulnerable, you're breaking down your walls and letting someone else in, and letting people know a part of your journey, a part of your story, and an experience that you have experienced or are experiencing. And with breaking the silence and talking to people, for my experience, it doesn't really get easier. It just gets, in a way, you trust yourself, because you can't control other people's reactions or responses or the ways that they deal with what you tell them, because the people that you tell, that might affect them. Like, trauma isn't something that you go through. You can also experience trauma from someone telling you something. It's literally the way that it impacts your nervous system, your brain, your mind, your body. And that was something that I had to learn, was just because I have all of these perfect answers in my brain to how others would or should respond to me expressing my story, we don't have that control over other people. So beginning to acknowledge and just understand and accept what I went through within myself helped me express it to others, because I knew that this is a part of my journey. This is a chapter that I did go through, and I am able to help myself, trying to express to other people, trying different coping mechanisms for myself, trying to work through and restore regulation within my nervous system and mind. But that other people's responses aren't my, like, end point. And that was really important for me, because there were people that responded in better ways. There were people that responded in not so better ways, but I never took that as a personal dig at me or what I went through. And I think just, really accepting and acknowledging and understanding and trying to process your journey and what you did go through really helped, because throughout the time that I did stay silent, I didn't really understand what I'd gone through. Like, I knew what had happened, but I didn't understand it, if that makes sense. Like, I tried to rationalize with myself and be like, yeah, but this, and no, at the end of the day, that is what happened to me, and I don't need to make excuses for their actions, because what they did was not right, and I shouldn't be trying to make excuses for what they did. So yeah, it really helped me.
Preach. That was so well said. Something that you said earlier about that dipping the toe in the water, something that my beautiful therapist taught me was the green, yellow, red, which was something that I used a lot when I was really starting to begin to really try to open up with those around me, and especially my support systems, that I wasn't yet comfortable to completely open and share. And it really was such a good dip in the toe. And even with you, like, you have to build that trust, and you have to slowly keep dipping your toe until you go, okay, this is it. Like, I got this now. And green was, I'm feeling good. Like, I'm fine. Like, I don't need anything. I'm good with myself. Yellow was, oh, like, I'm starting to derail here, but like, I think I'm managing it okay, but I may need some support. And red was, I cannot do this. Like, I need support, and I cannot do this alone. And if I am alone, I don't know what's going to happen. And it's something so simple that doesn't even have to be words. Like, all I had to do was send mum something red, and she would know. She would instantly know, and she'd be able to put stuff in place. And that was me speaking up without even having to fully express. And same with you, like a little like thing of like,
Yeah.
and that instant no, like I didn't have to go into detail, and I created that time and space to then we would sit and do something, and it would allow me to regulate and calm my nervous system down to then either manage it or express. And it's something that's so powerful, just acknowledging that you don't have to just sit down straight away with someone and just tell them absolutely every single thing that's gone in your life. And you can slowly start to build that trust and really understand if that person is right for you to open up to, because you don't have to, breaking the silence isn't telling the whole entire world everything that's happened to you. It's just allowing it to not be something that you keep within yourself, and something that you allow to, I guess, be shared with others. So then you can have that validation, you can have that support, and you're not holding the weight of it on your own.
Yeah, I love it. But with those yellow, with the red, green and yellow, that is also something that I really found beneficial with helping me speak out, not the first time, but to other people in my life, is understanding and setting boundaries within myself, but with others. And what I mean by this is understanding what I was comfortable with sharing and what I didn't want to share yet. Because if you don't really understand what boundaries you have, you risk being re-traumatized, or risk just not really understanding how to articulate your feelings or your experience to the other person. So understanding within myself what I'm comfortable with sharing and what I know that will help people understand and help me express, but without letting everything out. If I wasn't ready, then that is completely okay. And that's the same as saying like that red, like you're not going to say, oh, this is exactly how I feel, but that red is expressing, but that's a boundary. You know that you're not ready to be able to tell them exactly what you're thinking or feeling, but you're still expressing in a way that feels safe for you. And that's also a thing that I think is important in my journey, was going to, if I knew that I wanted to tell someone a bit about what I'd been through, or want to express a part of my journey or trauma, I would make sure that I was in a safe space, because when you express the things that are deepest to you and have had such a big impact in your life, you really want to feel comfortable and you want to feel safe, and you just want to be in a place that you are familiar with, or you feel safe. So that means you can really release everything that you want, and you're not like hyper vigilant around and stuff, but also allowing yourself the time to express, and also process afterwards how you feel, how it helped you like relate to other people, what their questions may be or what their help may be, and just not going in with a time frame like, okay, half an hour sit, and then if you're not fully expressed but the half an hour's out, then you're like, oh my gosh, now I need to keep that part silent. So really going to a place that you're comfortable with, and not having like this time frame or expectation. Really remove all expectations away from yourself, but away from the other person. Because there were times where I would practice the night before 100 million times what I was going to say, and then in the moment I would go blank and then I wouldn't know what I wanted to say, but then I was just allowed to express what I actually wanted to express in that moment. And it just helped so much because I did allow myself to be safe and in a place that I was comfortable in.
My two favourite ways, I guess, environments where I love, like, I thrive in really opening up, and I guess being that listening ear for those opening up, is going for a walk or driving in a car. I find that both of these environments, it's not as confrontational because you're not sitting trying to fill the silence with someone, and you're actually like doing something that can allow you to not have to be so they're listening, I watching them look at me, and it's like you don't, I guess, pick apart every single aspect of the conversation and trying to figure out and use your imagination for the worst to put things in your head that they're doing. And it creates the space where you're just walking and talking or driving and talking, and it's just you and you're alone, and it's a great environment, especially with a car. I love the car because you can drive around, you can stop, you can sit, you can belt music out afterwards to let more release. And I just find that them ways, for me personally, have really helped me connect with other people and really connect myself to other people.
Yeah, I love that. That's so good. Yeah. Reflecting back on how I spoke up for the first time or the first few times, something that I wish I was able to implement into that was allowing myself to express my concerns and express what communication that I am wanting or that I need in that moment, whether it's I just want them to be a listening ear, or I genuinely want their help, or I want to try and relate or just have a conversation after, if I want questions, if I don't want questions, and just express what you're wanting from this. Because some people, everyone's different, everyone's mind's different. I have a thing that when people tell me things, I want to help them, but if they don't want help, I'm not going to know that, and then it might be annoying for them. So just being able to tell the person or people that you want to express your experience or whatever you're going through, just allow them to know, because we can't mind read. Like, we don't understand or know what they want, and what we think is helping them in the best way that we think might not be the best way for them. And also raising my concerns, where if I am really, really nervous to speak up, just say, like, I'm really nervous right now, but I do want to say something to you, or I'm really nervous, but I struggle to like make eye contact, so can we turn around? Or just saying things that you're thinking but tell them, because it breaks down that wall of, okay, this person's going to tell me something, I'm not too sure what it's about, but then you're able to express, this is really hard for me, I've been dealing with this for 6 months, or this happened 4 years ago, this happened yesterday, and just being able to let them in a bit more and understand what you're wanting from it.
I love how connected we are, because my next talking point was like the opposite side of that, and being the listening ear, and something that I've really tried to implement when a friend reaches out and says like, hey, like I'm really struggling, like I need to talk to you. The minute that we get there and the conversation starts, that is the first thing that I try to express to them. I go, like, throughout this chat, like, express to me what you want and what you need from me. Like, what do you want now? And if that changes throughout the chat, please express it to me. Like, I need to know how I can best support you. And even if I do try push a little bit hard, I say, if you do not want to talk about this at all, or you just want to ignore it, then tell me. And then I ask the question, because you don't want it to ever make someone feel pressured or uncomfortable, and you want to keep them staying within their scope of what they're actually wanting to talk about and comfortable and safe enough to talk about. But you also want to allow them to feel safe enough to talk as much and as freely as they do want with you, and really trying to understand how the other person's feeling and their wants and needs, especially from this conversation. Like, they've clearly reached out to you for a reason. You've just got to ask what the reason is and what they actually want from you, because there's so many different people, there's so many different friends of mine in different situations with the same friend where we could even have the same conversation, but their, I guess, expectations for me are completely different. Sometimes they do just want me to listen and they just need to get it out. Other times they're like, I don't know what to do. Like, I need some advice. And communicating, breaking that silence, and really just allowing yourself to be that safe space for them, and consistently reaffirming that, like, this is your time to speak up about what you're going through, and it's your own pace on how much you do give and how quickly you want to give me that information, I guess.
And also communicating like what you need in that moment, where if you've just expressed like the thing that you've held in, that's the biggest impact on your life, the most traumatic thing, and then the person, because they are a hugger, they try and comfort you with a hug, but you don't like that. Like, you need to be able to communicate with them what you need, what you want, like what you think is going to best help you after you have expressed. Because the first time that you express or break that silence, it is just as scary before than it is after, because in my experience, I was like, okay, what are they thinking? Are they thinking that they're doing this? Are they do they? And then it's just try and really slow down, take deep breaths, and just communicate with them, because our brains, as amazing as they are, they can be a bloody pain in the ass, because my brain can just create all these scenarios, all these conversations that are not real, that the other person isn't even thinking or experiencing, but I believe that they are. So just communicating and being open and honest with them can just make such a big difference in what I have experienced.
Yeah, that is so true.
Yeah.
Something that really validated and really affirmed me feeling confident in speaking up about what I was going through is, I guess, some of the responses that I got from when I started to reach out, whether it was purely just the validation or support, but also really hearing other people's experiences with similar topics or similar experiences that I have been through. And it really just creates such like a connection and community of, there's so many things that we try silently battle ourselves that so many other people, some people do speak out, but there's so many people that are also silently having the same battles, and they are also feeling so alone, they're also feeling so misunderstood. And by simply just reaching out and expressing what has happened to you in any aspect that you do, you really create this space, and that allows others to feel not alone, and they really feel like they can express what they're going through as well. And it can kind of create this snowball effect of really allowing all of us to open up and accept what has happened to us and really allow us to grow from it. And you really do get to grow so much from it, because hearing other people's experiences, how they coped with it, how they managed it, how they moved forward from it, how many setbacks they had from it, it really just, it builds that hope and belief that other people are also going through this, other people have also grown so much from this, you have grown so much for this, and you can continue doing it, and you're not doing it alone, and you were never alone, you just didn't speak up about it.
That's so beautiful, I love it. And yeah, if you have come across this video because you're wanting to speak up, or you're wanting to listen to how other people was able to speak up, this is one of the biggest first steps, and we're so proud of you. So you should be really proud of yourself as well for wanting to express yourself and release what you have been through or what you have been keeping within yourself. And just remember that this is your own journey. So go at your own pace, go at your own time. Don't try and push yourself too far out of your comfort zone all at once, but try and do things where you feel a bit safe, a bit comfortable, and then you can slowly build up that trust within yourself, within others, and really be able to express what you want and release whatever you want to release to the other person or other people. Because something that I really learned along my journey is, it is your journey, and that should be the only thing that you remember. You shouldn't ever compare yourself to another person. You shouldn't compare yourself to what we've spoken about, but we just hope that we can give inspiration or just understanding and just knowing that you aren't alone in this. We have been through it. We have been so scared, and it is so scary to be vulnerable, especially when you're the only person that has dealt with what you have experienced and you've just kept it within. So just know that we're on your side, and this is the whole reason we have created Women to Women, is to break that silence, to break that shame, to break that guilt, that just scariness of expressing the things that so many of us do go through. And yeah, if you have listened to this because it's something that you have been through, this is so amazing. Like, I cannot express enough, because I have been in that place where I was researching so many different ways how I can tell people, how I can let people in, how I can drop hints, and that is how I was able to slowly build my way up to expressing. So if you're here for that reason, well done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I was going to say more, but you finished it so well.